Welcome to another episode of Simon Says, where facts come first. I'm your host, Jenny Simon. And as usual, no sticking, because you all know we overloaded these days. I could sit here for 3 weeks straight and bring you issues and real issues. So the struggle continues, and I'm here today to continue to inform you of the struggles and the issues. So grab your popcorn, grab your drink, grab your pills, anything you know you would need, even if it's your potty. Grab it and keep it close, and I'll be right back.
Thank you for tuning in to Simon Says. To ensure that you never miss an episode, click subscribe and make sure to turn on the notifications by clicking on the notification bell icon. See you at the next episode.
Folks, an update on the Dubai trip of the Prime Minister, Deacon Mitchell, and part of his delegation that visited China. And notwithstanding the release put out by the Prime Minister's office, stating that the Prime Minister, following his official visit to the People's Republic of China, participated in the Future of Citizenship by Investment, an event at the Wilton Park, London, on January the 20th, 2025. It was a 3-day event, according to this release, because, folks, to date, we have no proof of that event. Can't find it nowhere, can't find photos. I mean, you know how you all have to see him. Walking the red carpet, strutting in, meeting, greeting. We have not seen that. And it was a meeting, a set of Caribbean heads, right? Anyway, the meeting was supposed to be from January 2020 to 22. And we'll also see participation from the chairman of our CBI program, Mr. Richard Duncan, and Mr. Thomas Anthony, the CEO of our CBI program. The release went on to say that, and I'm quoting here, this Wilton Park dialogue will bring together leaders from the Eastern Caribbean states who are running citizenship by investment programs, along with relevant regional and global stakeholders. It's quite possible that meeting, that event, was a very private event amongst stakeholders, as they say, and CBI agents, and not at all to do with the countries these persons came from. Because that could be the only explanation why to date we have no information that there was any event held at Wilton Park with this release put out from the Prime Minister's office. There were no photos, no follow-up, nothing to show. It was like a ghost event, right? What we do know, however, is that Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell, along with members of his delegation that visited China, went to Dubai, from China, went to Dubai. No matter the release said, from China they went to the UK. We now can say that is a lie. He might have eventually went to the UK. But what we do know, that from China, the Prime Minister and some of his delegation went to Dubai. And we have photos to show that. There are follow-ups that I'm going to bring to you today. The press secretary, Ms. Neela Etienne, whose release attempted to cover up the Dubai detour, and when asked about it, meaning the Dubai detour, too many D's, when asked about it, tried to cover up and continue to cover up, right? When she got a call, and you know, of course, when you call someone, you don't know where they are, and they couldn't tell you they're anywhere. And she made it out to look like she got a call from a media person on a different matter, not knowing that they were in the UK. And I believe she went to the UK while the others, and waited for them there. That's how it's looking so far. And she said, oh, that she's in the UK. When they asked, well, how you sound like you're still sleeping? Because the time, of course, is different. And she said she was sleeping, and that, yes, and she was in the UK. And that they were in the UK for this event. And then the release came out, right? Now, one journalist here in Grenada asked her, that's on their return, asked her about the Dubai trip, right? The press secretary, that is the journalist asked if the Prime Minister is back on the island. And let me put up on the screen for you that conversation. So, Press Secretary, the Prime Minister is back on island. He attended the CBI event at Wilton Park. Please refer to the published press release dated January the 20th, 2025. Now, this is the press secretary to the journalist asking about the Prime Minister and if he's back. Journalist said, and that is journalist Linda Straker, did he also visit Dubai? Press secretary, this is the official details which I've shared with you. So the official details is that the Prime Minister went from China to the UK to this Wilton Park event, and they stick into that. So the government, this NDC administration, continue to take us for fools. And even when they are busted, even when they are caught red-handed with their pants down, they stick it to the point. And so here's Simon Says to the rescue. No pun intended. A recap of Henshin Group 2024 year-end summary meeting and 2025 New Year Gala Party was published on January 23, 2025. So on January 17, 2025, at noon, Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell, along with his delegation, arrived at Dubai following a visit to China and participated in the 20th anniversary celebration of diplomatic relations between China and Grenada. Now, after a brief rest in his hotel when he got to Dubai, Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell held a meeting with Wanfa Lee, that is the chairman of the Henshin Group, where Mr. Lee presented a detailed report on the Henshin Group market promotion efforts and the project construction progress in 2024, and sought the Prime Minister's approval on their global market promotion initiatives in 2025. Now, if you look on the screen, you'd see photos of Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell and Mr. Lee. It is said that the Prime Minister, Deacon Mitchell, invited Mr. Lee to lunch, or the Heng Shen group to lunch. The following day, that is the 8th of January, at the Shangri-La Hotel in Dubai, the Heng Shen group hosted their 2024 year-end 2025 New Year's party in a grand ceremony. The event was attended by prominent guests, including Deacon Mitchell, Prime Minister of Grenada, Teddy St. Louis, advisor to the Prime Minister. That is as mentioned in this article, right? Now, this is not me here. This is a summary article that I'm reading to you, okay? And, well, the truth is the Chief of Staff is indeed an advisor. But in this article, he's mentioned as the advisor. And Akira Lessie, Prime Minister's Executive Secretary. So Ms. Lessie was indeed in Dubai and not in the UK, as reported earlier. Now, as Akira Lessie is the Executive Secretary of the Prime Minister, right? And she's also the newest member of the Board of Directors of the CBI, Grenada. It is clear that this trip coming out of China, it was a CBI trip. For whose benefits? It's all shaping out to be the benefits of the individuals that detoured to Dubai. Right? Now, also attending the function was Mr. Zia Rahman, our expensive Consul General in Dubai. I mean, you had to do something for the monies you're making. However, that was pleasure anyways. Additionally, entrepreneurs, guests from the United States and China, as well as Heng Shen Group global employees and representatives of its head partners worldwide, were all present at the gathering, and that is the party now, party time. The 2024 year-end summary meeting of the Heng Shen Group was themed Ride the Chest, Seek the Best. Sounds good, huh? Whatever that means. But the chest, we know what the chest is. In the chairman's, Mr. Lee's speech, he expressed his sincere welcome and respect to Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell. He mentioned that the attendance of Grenada's key government figures gave the event extraordinary significance and a motivation in the entire Heng Shen team to achieve their annual goals in 2025. The chairman, Mr. Lee, used keywords: sustainability, second home, and win-win cooperation, and deep practice. If you look on the screen, you'll see photos of Mr. Lee, a photo of Mr. Lee doing his speech. After Chairman Lee's speech, the meeting proceeded with its second main agenda, the signing of the Target Responsibility Letter 2025. Prime Minister expressed concerns about the Hengshens Group 2025 plan. Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell expressed concerns about the Hengshen Group's 2025 plan. In my mind, grand move. You had to do something to make as if. And asked in detail about the specific content of the goal and the methodology and approaches to achieve it. Big grand move, big time. You're already in the man's pocket. Don't make as if. Don't make as if. We know you're in the pocket. He has funded a couple projects in the St. David's constituency. And they're paying salaries. He paid salary for number 10. You see, she have a big mouth. And she spoke out. That's how we all come to know about Mr. Lee. Right? And it is alleged that he's now paying Ron Redhead's salary. Since you fire him, and since you wanted to keep the dust down, because you know how the youth for change are, and they say, what if you touch one, you touch all? And all of this talk about the party and what's going on there. Oh, you're all so full of it. So, we know you are Mr. Lee tight. Don't try to make it, oh, so we want to know. No. Now, following the meeting, the Prime Minister, Deacon Mitchell, said, this was the most exciting part of the event. Told you all it was a grand move. When the target letters were signed, Director Max read out the 2024 group evaluation and awarding ceremony, during which Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell proposed to award the Development and Construction Management Center, commending them for their significant achievements in project construction in the past year. That was year 2024. At the same time, he also hoped that the construction team would steadily and solidly advance the progress of project construction, overcome challenges, and strive to achieve the project's opening and operations goals as soon as possible. All with a sense of responsibility and professionalism. Now, you can understand why they were given a whole wing of our port during the Christmas season, and why some of us, small and large businesses alike, suffered under that. Some persons did not even receive their items on the docks before the holidays. Long after Christmas passed, some of our ordinary people just receiving their barrels with a little ham and so for their kids. Because Hengshen Group was given the authority, the permission to store their materials in a whole wing of the port. Now, if you look on the screen, you would see a photo of our dear Prime Minister, our beloved Prime Minister, as he spoke in Dubai. But he was supposed to be in the UK. And look again, and you would see photos of the Henshin Group project in Livera. That's in 3D there, that we're supposed to be getting from this group. The curtain fell on the annual meeting with laughter and joy as everything drew to a perfect conclusion to the hard work of the past year, while presenting an exciting prelude of the journey into the new year. We have photos there of the gala with Honorable Deacon Mitchell, our beloved Deacon Mitchell, in there. There on the screen are photos of the 2025 New Year party hosted by the Heng Shen Group in Dubai. Also there you see photos of Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell and other guests at the gala. The Heng Shen Group event was held from the 17th of January to the 20th of January 2025. And the 2024 year-end summary meeting, the event was held at the Shangri-La Dubai Hotel. Vivian Davis, a Nigerian CBI consultant with an academic background in early childhood, was also there. She's the wife of Israel Davis, a Nigerian marine engineer / senior pastor at Love for God Church. Israel is a close friend of Dangote. 6 months ago, Vivian was introduced to Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell by Mr. Lee. And if you look there on the screen, you'll see the introduction taking place. Now, follow the money, follow the money. There's things that have been happening. It is alleged that Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell and the Minister of Finance, who is a CBI agent, that is Minister Dennis Cornwall, had left Grenada for a meeting in the UK in June 2024, but in fact went to Dubai. And that introduction maybe was that was that meeting in Dubai, because according to the Post, it was 6 months ago, right? Follow the money. A lot of things are happening. We don't know. They travel in big jets, jetting from here to there, coming in the RSS plane. And we're talking briefcase. We like to talk briefcase, huh? Prime Minister Mitchell, after he said to us, plane, is he damn money? And he went to collect his money. We heard Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell saying that when you invited, and then the Prime Minister, Dr. Mitchell, he said it as well before when he was in Reen, when you're invited, sometimes the country or the individual who invite you, they pay for your travels. Prime Minister Mitchell said he paid for his travel up front, and when he went, he collected his money in a briefcase. We don't know what is being collected in briefcases in all these trips and in all these private jets to Dubai and from Saudi Arabia. We have no idea what is being collected in the briefcase. Oh yes, we saw the chain. We heard of the chainsaws and the generators and the flashlights, just in time for the next hurricane season. And thank you to Saudi Arabia, just in time. Hope they're there by the time the next hurricane season arrives, right? We don't know what else. We don't know what else. Yes. And there you go. Those are pictures of Mrs. Vivian Davis and our beloved Prime Minister most recent trip to Dubai in January. That is between the 17th to the 20th, 2025. In other news, the government of Grenada earned almost $500 million, or EC 500 million, from the Citizen by Investment Program in 2024, with most of the approved 5,443 new citizens coming from China and Nigeria. The revenue of the government for the year 2024 was 472,981,142 dollars. That's a lot of money, right? 23% or 1,252 approved new citizens were Chinese, while 19% or 1,034 were Nigerians. The data released on the unit website shows approved citizens representing a wide cross-section of nations, including Great Britain, South Africa, Benin, Pakistan, USA, India, Vietnam, Ukraine, Turkey, and Iraq. This article complements Linda Straker. Now, if you notice, Russians are not prominent on that list. And that is because our government and other Caribbean nations were forced to close the door on the Russians. In an article in The Fortune by Alicia Aber-Makezik, dated January the 27th, 2025, headline, Grenada's plans to launch the first official citizenship by invitation program. So now we move from by investment to by invitation. Caption, as Europe closes door to the golden visa programs, Grenada launches invite-only program to offer citizenship to wealthy investors. Folks, the world's first such program. You know, we're good at the first, right? Yeah. The world first such program. Now, I don't know what some of the NDC persons sitting in cabinet and the ones who are advisors and persons like Uncle Tilly, who acts as Governor General when our Governor General is out, have to say about our CBI program these days. Because we way past selling like fish cake by the side of the road. We way past selling like rum. And you know how we have rum shops now? We have more rum shops than churches, right? And we way past selling like rum. I don't know. I have to sit down and think up. Or you guys can share what you think or what you believe our passports are being sold like today. Because this is going way above and beyond now. It's like we're desperate and we're going through desperate times, and by any means possible, we have to sell our passports by any means possible. So we have introduced this citizen by invitation, and it's with Arton Capital, is a global citizenship financial advisory services firm based in Montreal, Canada, founded in 2006 by Armand Arton. The firm provides services for global citizenship with a particular focus on investor programs. The firm facilitates residence and citizenship programs. Forbes, which most of us might be more familiar with, is an American media and publishing company that publishes a business magazine and provides news coverage. Forbes is known for its list of rankings such as the Forbes 400, the definitive ranking of America's richest people. For instance, Aliko Dangote is on the 2025 Forbes list with a net worth of 10.9 billion USD. Now, I've seen other billionaire lists with the Dangote, and the network, it's like more than this, so I don't know. But this here is what Forbes has. You have 27, I've seen 27 billion USD and others. The man is a billionaire. And as they say, the richest man in Africa. It is alleged that persons associated with those are, for the most part, and I'm talking about Forbes and Arton Capital, of course, are politically exposed. In a novel move, the Investment Migration Agency Grenada, IMA, and folks, don't get mixed up with the names, is the CBI program. Grenada has teamed up with Arton Capital and Forbes Global Talent to offer hand-picked, high net worth individuals. According to Prime Minister, let me repeat, hand-picked, high net worth individuals the opportunity to invest in Grenada. In a novel move, the Investment Migration Agency Grenada, IMA, and folks, don't get mixed up and tie up and get confused with IMA. IMA is the same as CBI. You know, we had a lot of name changes, a lot of fancy names. Don't get confused. That is the CBI program, right? So, our CBI Grenada program has teamed up with Arton Capital and Forbes Global to offer hand-picked, high net worth individuals. Let me say that again, according to Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell. In a novel move, the Investment Migration Agency Grenada, IMA, that is the same as CBI, has teamed up with Arton Capital and Forbes Global Talent to offer hand-picked, high net worth individuals the opportunity to invest in Grenada citizenship and provide ongoing advisory to Grenada's Prime Minister. So we're moving big now. We get big-time advisors. So we may not need all the little ones. We may not need some of our public workers. We're moving big. So these people are going to probably advise us on our policies. Well, we need the help. I just don't know if we need the help from these billionaires. We might get back something, or some person, some people might receive. Are we the people of Grenada, the general public? What are we going to get? Or what are we getting in return? The initiative, called Citizen by Invitation, invites change makers on Forbes billionaire list who have expertise in areas of interest to Grenada to apply for citizenship and become advisors to Grenada's policy makers. The economic advisory role achieved upon their neutralization is not considered a special appointment and does not come with a diplomatic passport. So they say. As an incentive to apply for citizenship, these specially invited individuals will benefit from priority processing of their applications, well processed in a minimum of 3 to 4 months. Processing time aside, the 3 value proposition of the initiative inferred its brainchild, Armand Arton, founder and president of Arton Capital, is the value HNWIs achieve from being able to engage with the Prime Minister and impact the policies and future of the country. I can think of Elon Musk, who would love to make America great again and contribute to it, said Arton. So many other people, for much less than 20 million, can have that opportunity right here with Grenada. On hand to introduce the initiative with Arton at Arton Capital's Global Citizen Forum in Dubai on December the 5th was Thomas Anthony, our CEO of our CBI program, who publicly expressed his support for the initiative, believes it is a productive approach to helping Grenada achieve its development goal. It's really, and I'm quoting here, it's really about having access to individuals with the mind, with the experience, with the expertise, with the network, with the net worth to be able to identify opportunities, develop in tandem with government project documents, and their move to implementation in those particular areas we'd like to see investment. End of quote. According to Thomas, the present practice is for developers to present their own projects for development. However, there's an increasing desire by their office and their government to adopt a more handsome approach by identifying areas that should receive CBI funds, creating associated projects, and they're soliciting partners to bring those projects to reality. It is his hope that the Citizenship by Investment Initiative will facilitate this. Addressing the issue of prioritizing applications and the integrity of Grenada's Citizenship by Investment program, Anthony Thomas or Thomas Anthony rather, reaffirmed his agency's commitment to upholding its existing due diligence standard. And I quote, "I think it's important to emphasize that there is no special treatment beyond being prioritized." Well, that's enough if you ask me. Not egoing the KYCs or due diligence that will be less than our regular standard, but merely prioritizing the applications, putting them to the top to make sure that they are processed within reasonable time, period of time. Now, of course, they're the big shots, they're the billionaires. They can pass the envelopes under the table. It is the hope that the initiative will help diversify the source markets for Grenada's program. This year, most of the applicants have come from China, Nigeria, Ukraine, and the USA. Through the help of Forbes Global Talent and its executive search team, specific individuals in key markets will be invited to apply to Grenada's program. Folks, the possibility for corruption is glaring. It is endless. Just listening to this, what is said in this article. It is scary, to say the least. We are handpicking, meaning it's all about Mr. John, who he is. He has billions. He can give me some money for campaign. So this stressing of due diligence is a joke. It's like pulling wool over our eyes. So much for the original way, where one's investment must have economic benefits and employment for Grenada and Grenadians. How are we going to know who those hand-picked ones are? Not even the office of the CBI will have an idea who they are. The Prime Minister is doing the handpicking. If the Prime Minister make a deal with someone, who knows what the deal is? Desperate times calls for desperate measures, my friends. It is clear that this administration is hoping that the CBI citizens win this thing for them. It's clear. And of course, some of our persons in the diaspora. This is desperate behavior. The applications for citizenship by investment has reduced significantly as a result of the Russians no longer allowed to apply or be accepted. So we resort to asking and offering billionaires to buy our passports. Usually, we're accustomed to between 200 to 300 applications a month. Lately, we've been getting something like 30 applications, and most of them from the Heng Shen group. We already got monies from Heng Shen for 2 projects in the St. David's area, and we continue to milk them and direct them to the bag lady, Miss Andrea St. Bernard. Never thought the day will come when I would say the CBI program under the former administration, the NNP, was much more transparent than what we're seeing here today under an NDC administration. Never in my wildest did I think this day could come, this day would arrive. But then again, with the NDC, everything is extreme, everything is all over the place, everything is pecamel. It's a fix now. Give me a fix now. It's like, you know, when you're on something and you need that fix, you need that fix. No, and it don't matter what happened after that. Cost it what it will, as we would say. Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell, folks, on Beyond the Headlines, and in a couple of other forums, boasted of his government accomplishment in the training of 100 individuals in cyber training. Here is our beloved Prime Minister.
We actually launched the pilot. The pilot is in cybersecurity. We have partnered with a Canadian firm. We are paying for the training. The training is in cybersecurity. So it would lead to various levels of certification in cybersecurity as part of the contract with the firm that's doing the training. So the training isn't just training, but you actually provide it with the internet. You provide with a lot of mentoring as well, and a lot of hand-holding between completing the training and getting the job placement. The beauty about the cybersecurity world is that there are, and these things are validated, worldwide, 3.4 million and growing unfulfilled cybersecurity jobs. In other words, if you were trained and became a cybersecurity analyst, there are 3.4 million potential employment opportunities for you, and you don't have to leave Grenada. Because in the digital world, once you have access to high-speed internet and a computer, you are employable anywhere in the world. And so it means your ability to earn income isn't going to be based on the pay scale in Grenada or the Caribbean. It is really going to be based on that pay scale for the 3.4 million people worldwide.
And your skills.
And your skill set. And we are talking here with starting salaries in those areas at $3,000 US per month. That's more than a minister government makes. So I want to repeat that. Where some of these starting salaries are around $3,000 US a month, it is more than a current government of Grenada minister's salary for a 6-month training.
And they say, I can't count. $3,000 US is more than a minister's salary? No, let me do the math. 3,000 US is equivalent to $8,010. Our ministers, if my memory serves me right, is going home with $14,000 plus at the end of the month. And we ain't checking their 10,000 bonus, huh? So, I guess the Prime Minister counting in maybe Guyanese. That's one of his favorite places to be. No disrespect to the Guyanese. I'm just, just a light moment there. Just a light moment there. Now, I wonder if the Prime Minister will answer a few questions for me here this day on Simon Says. Prime Minister, is it true that the cyber training facilitated by an entity called Cyber Nation? I noticed you didn't call the name of the entity that's training, that's doing the training or supposed to be doing the training. Is it true that the cyber training entity that's facilitating the training, called Cyber Nation, out of Ontario, Canada, is costing the government and people of Grenada $2 million, a $20,000 per student. $20,000, let me repeat, $20,000 per student. And we have 100 students sign up for training. So we got a total of $2 million awarded to Cyber Nation. The question is, who owns the company Cyber Nation, Prime Minister? Is it true the company is owned? Yes. According to the registry, the business registry in Ontario, by a Miss Claudette McGrawan. And other partners. Who are the other partner or partners? Whose name was recently removed from the registration document, Prime Minister? Is it true the missing name is a player within the NDC? Is it true, Prime Minister, that TAMCC is capable and was lined up to offer the same cyber training for $5,000 per student, a $15,000 less amount? Was Cyber Nation registered on the 22nd of November, 2023? What is the registration date for? How long has Cyber Nation been in business, and who are the other clients? What have they done in cyber training thus far? Prime Minister, why would the government of Grenada pay a company $20,000 per student when you could have paid our own TAMCC $5,000, who well need the money? $5,000 per student. And whilst I'm on Beyond the Headlines, I'll share with you some of the pronouncements, some more pronouncements of our beloved Prime Minister, Deacon Mitchell, whilst on Beyond the Headlines. There is when we realize that we're going to have a new ministry, call it what you want, and it's called the Delivery Unit. And this delivery unit is to be appointed. Let's hear Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell.
The next major stage that we're at is, in fact, Cabinet has approved the skills training component of education as a major facet of what we need to do to essentially rearrange our education system. And we're in the process of putting together a delivery unit that will take on this task.
So you see, it's clearly another ministry with PS and a whole office of persons, right? Wasn't that what MIT was formed for? For the purpose of delivering? To drive home projects? Or is this just another way? We have some extra persons out there to pay. Some extra surrogates or supporters of the because all you do is form committees and groups, and now we're forming ministries, illegally so. MIT is not even a legal ministry, right? MIT is a ministry for spending monies unaccounted for. Right? And so now we have the delivery unit, yet another illegal ministry to aid and abet in the corruption. They eat the food. Today, these days, is rough because we're running out of time. The gravy train is headed to the station. We're running out of time. Speaking of which, Prime Minister, is your advisor, Orlando Romaine, is he about to close another deal on a property on Church Street, St. George, or St. George's rather, next to the Anglican Church, the Prairie House, to be exact? Is it true someone made a bid of $1.3 million and was outbidded by Orlando Romaine, whose final bid was $1.6 million? So for all you, the man come in the party with the money, the man, you're a bunch of jokers. So sit down there. Why didn't he buy up all these properties before NDC came into office? And he ain't done it now. He ain't done. He outbid someone. The last bidder bidded $1.3 million. He taking no chances. He went from 1.3 to 1.6 billion. He had to have it. Nice piece of property, huh? When you're in the back, you overlooking the carnage. Very nice piece of property. And is it true Orlando Romaine has also purchased lands on the Grandlands, in the Grandlands area, opposite the Limes Gap? Grandlands, you know, there's lands right opposite that kind of slopes up. There's a slope. We asking if it's true. So we here. As I get them, I'll bring them to you, the people of Grenada. As I get them, I would bring them to you, the people. You must know of the corruption that is taking place within the NDC, and that a blind eye is turned to what is taking place. But we also know, the Prime Minister said, Grenada is small, and we can't get away from some of these things. But he made it clear that he would not be hoodwinked into getting rid of his friends. And I'm paraphrasing here. He would not, but the word hoodwinked was used. The question remains, Prime Minister, is Orlando Romaine responsible for the $500,000 missing from the $22.5 million allocated for the 50th anniversary Golden Jubilee celebration? We know $500,000 is missing from staff. We know that. And the truth is, I do believe that much more than $500,000 is missing. But you could prove it. Give us the accountability of the $22.5 million allocated for the 50th anniversary celebrations. Tell us how it was spent. We only a little over $1 million that we know of. And of course, Calypsonian scholar quarreling for $35,000 because they promised him $50,000. There's so much mixed stories where that is concerned. But on live network news, the gentleman said that you promised him $50,000. Well, not him, but the winner of the competition. $50,000 and you only gave him 15. When he won, he got 15, and that you owe him another 35,000. Right? We need to know. We're not going to stop asking. We need to know. So, it was said, and let me tell you something, it came from inside. It came from right up in, not the safe, not down below, not the safe, the cabinet where you had the pretty glasses, you know, the ones with we used to have with the ace of spades on it. It had some upstairs in the cabinet. So 500,000 is missing. We need to know because the name attached to it was Mr. Orlando Romain. We need you, somebody, to come forward and deny or accept the allegations that happened. Right? In the meantime, Mr. Doe just buying up properties all over Grenada. This is the worst I've seen. I've never seen that before. It's the same as someone opening 4 or 5 businesses, well, one on the way, 4 businesses in 1 year. Not even billionaires does that type of thing. 4 businesses in 1 year. One individual who's eating the food as well. All a good way. Blatant, just so in our eyes. Now I want you to listen to this clip. There's this gimme thing that the Prime Minister is speaking about here. Y'all wouldn't believe he's speaking about gimme, you know. Listen.
How do we cultivate this honesty? Because, to be honest, at this stage, it's a gimme society. There's a dependency syndrome that has been cultivated over a number of years, really. But what you're speaking about here now is personal responsibility and looking at the big picture, even with our individual decisions.
Personal and collective, because to get to the collective, we all have to start with us personally. But every habit that is formed could be unlearned, and new habits could be relearned. And so we have to recognize that, you know, societies grow and prosper by adopting the right habits and the right culture. Societies fail and retard or underdevelop or go backwards by adopting the wrong attitudes and the wrong posture. So if we're an organized society, a gimme, me alone, I first is going to lead to a failed society. And I don't have to hide to say that because there are countless examples right around us in the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. If we put self and materialism at all costs above the other values of community, of sharing, of fairness, of merit, the society will fail. I mean, that's nothing to debate about. Right. And so I'm saying we have to recognize that there has to be some give and take. There are limits to our material advancement, especially in a small island state. There are limits to our physical infrastructure development. And therefore, we have to care about what happens to each other. We have to care about what happens to the environment. And we have to care about the long-term sustainability of the actions that we engage in. So if you think it's okay to just throw garbage onto the streets, because we pay the solid waste to clean it up, well, it's just a matter of time when one day solid waste may not be able to pick it up. It may go bankrupt. The cost of collecting the garbage may overwhelm its operations, and it gets stuck in a drain. And then a flood is going to come, and it's the same garbage that's going to come down in your house or someone else's house. So we have to recognize that it's cause and effect, and there has to be limits to me. I'm saying that delivery unit is in the process. So what we've sought to do for both what I call hardcore transformative projects and softer ones, education being a clear example of a softer one, is we are creating delivery units, where we'll have a permanent secretary permanently assigned to tackle that particular transformative project. And the education curriculum is an introduction of skills training, both hard and soft skills, to the education system is one of those. We will be appointing an executive sponsor, and we will be appointing project managers, retaining consultants, and so on, to help us actually drive the delivery of these processes over a period of time.
I have never heard so much nonsense coming from the mouth of a prime minister. Solid waste may not be there, they might go bankrupt, and the debris will stay in the drain and flood your house. I mean, how do you arrive at solid waste might go bankrupt? I don't understand that part. One day solid waste might not be there, they might go bankrupt. Just to bring across, no. The gimme part. And according to the host, that was cultivated. I don't know when it was cultivated. Because to me, it was cultivated on June the 23rd, 2022. I have never seen so much gimme, so much grabbing on this little piece of rock for as long as I've been on it. I've never seen that. It's never been like that before. Never. Security firms galore. Security firms out of style. Some of you might remember the name Craig London. It showed up in social media with the lawnmower and the weed eater and the chainsaw. You all remember? That was being sold by Kem Jones right after burial, and people's eyes pop out their head. And then an invoice show up with the name Craig London, and some story was given. Okay. It's a name I want you all to draw association with. So it was drawn to my attention about this security firm called Patriot Security. And so I, of course, did my investigation, check out the registry. And the name, the owner, because, they kind of tell me who owned the security firm, but I like to do my own digging. And the names on that security firm, Patriot Security, 2 names. Craig London and my friend Cecil Cadet. Now, anybody knows Cecil Cadet, and apparently Craig London would know their association. Right? The reason for that lifted the eyebrows of individuals is that this firm, which I think is registered in St. Andrew, Grenville, or has clients in St. Andrew, when the owner needs to be called upon, it's not Cecil Cadet or Craig London, but it's Kem Jones. He's disciplining workers, and you see, they can't lie good and cover good. But my issue is, you could have a security firm. Why you have to hide who owns the security? And I guess I guess 2. Why you have to hide? Why you hiding that you own the security firm? Anytime you start to go under the table, it's corruption. It's corruption. Or you're embarrassed that you had to beg to feed yourself right up to June 2023, and then after that you could open a lot of businesses, security firms, and etc., etc. You're embarrassed? No, what you're embarrassed about? We know. But it's when the dance break. we gonna know who paid to go in. We gonna find out, right? All who talking about corruption and corruption and corruption for years on his program about NMP and the corruption and corruption and corruption. It's we turn now. So it's more corruption and corrupt. It's the worst. How is it that someone would put their name on a business registered that doesn't belong to them? So I say this to say that this gimme that they're talking about has matured since the NDC came into office. And the Prime Minister said it. He said the only thing that could come out of that is failure. Are we surprised? Because we are now failed as a country. We are being governed by a failed administration. We agree with you wholeheartedly that nothing good could come out of this. It's going to come to an end. It has to. It has to. He continued to speak of knowing who your neighbors are and adopting a neighbor.
To some extent, the more complex and sophisticated a society is, the more difficult it is to plan, it's the more difficult it is to manage, and obviously greener in 2025 is not greener than in 1974, and it's not greener than 1979, which is all the more reason why we need to make sure that we can plan what will happen to green over the next 5, 10, 15 years. And as I said, it starts with leadership, and not just at a political level, at a business level, at a community level, at a village level. I just came from St. David, my constituency, and I visited a home, the last home I visited before leaving. And on leaving, one of the thoughts that occurs to me is that, one of the obvious ways in my view to improve what happens in our community, I will call it this, let's adopt a neighbor community. And I say this because many of us are living close to people who are right next to us, who are living in some appalling conditions. Mm-hmm. We either don't know, we don't care, and we seem not to understand what the consequences of not doing and not caring will be for us. Because you run the risk that their children will grow up to be dysfunctional, potentially criminals, and potentially people who either don't care either about what happens to you and your children. And then you or your children will have a problem 5 or 10 years from now, right, if we don't care about what happens to our neighbors. So if our neighbors' kids don't have food to eat, and we have extra food, and we don't care enough to be able to say, let me check on the neighbor and help feed someone who's less fortunate, so that at least they don't feel no one cares about them, and therefore they don't care about anyone, and then it leads to delinquent behavior or criminal behavior, then you are going to become the victim of the crime, right, or the criminal. So I'm saying this to say, similarly, when we talk about the mindset about what happens to building resilience into our communities, let's take an obvious example. If we pursue material things at all costs, then we will say it's fine, you can dump the mangrove and go build in the mangrove. But you can't control the rain, mm-hmm, and you can't control the weather. And eventually the river will come down, your building will get flooded out, your building will get destroyed. And then what will you do? You will come and say to the government, I want compensation, help me, I invested and I lost all my business. But if we are thinking about resilience, we ought to be sensible and strong enough to say, hold on, it can't be development at all costs. It can't be a building at all costs. This is not a place for building because it simply is not sustainable. Mm-hmm. And we have to be able to get to that point where we begin to have those conversations, accept that, and then act on the enforcement, not just from a legal point of view, but also from a common sense point of view.
Well, you figured what he's trying to say there. What I got from it, though, and I need to ask him, who is the us he's speaking about? Who is the us you're speaking about, Prime Minister? Because my first question is, who is your neighbor? Do you have a neighbor? You talk about material things. We'll come to that after. Let me deal with the neighbor for one first. You abandoned Mount Royal, where you had to pass through Sans Souci, endless neighbors. And up in that Mount Royal, you have neighbors, Motley Hill. You abandoned Mount Royal. The Prime Minister's residence said it needed renovations. You waited 7 months whilst the Mount Cinnamon Great House was being renovated for you to go in. 7 months. You couldn't wait 7 months to fix Mount Royal. You wait for them to renovate Mount Cinnamon Great House. You moved into there. Your neighbors, the closest neighbors, would be a tourist, a visitor, when they come to stay at the Mount Cinnamon Resort, the hotel. That's who your neighbors are. Who you adopting? Who you adopting? Which tourists? Because this nonsense about adopting neighbor, and you don't know who your neighbor's children are, and who go get gun, and who go kill who, and who go turn out delinquent. What is that about? What nonsense? What utter nonsense is that? You speaking? Huh? It breaks my heart to hear you sometimes, man. Because you renting, the government and people of Grenada is paying $20,500 a month for you to stay in a property when there is a prime minister's residence, a property set out where all prime ministers lived before you, all. Some of them may not say they permanent, they go back, Uncle Tilly used to go up and look after the goats, but he would come back down, he would be there, he would have been in Shanda, but he in Mount. All of them lived there. But it's not good enough for you. As one of your proteges say, you're a man of class, and we don't expect you to live in Montreal, and you come talking about adopting a neighbor, and who neighbor, and some of us, and so who us? You're not included in that us. You have separated yourself from the people. Up on the hill, what they call the view, panoramic view. Huh? What us you talking about? You left us New Year's and at the end of the year and went to the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, somewhere. You certainly wasn't in Grenada. To bring in the new year with the billionaires. You didn't care to even leave a note, a little voice note to say Happy New Year to my people. No. You didn't care if New Year didn't even land in Grenada. You did not care. You do not care about people. You do not care about us. You can't even pretend to care, sir. So all this about us and neighbor and adopting a neighbor, and we need to know who our neighbor's children are, and so we could help him bring them up. What? What? Material things? That's why you're traversing Dubai, so you don't like material things? That's why you're always in the RSS plane. The commercial airlines within the Caribbean, you can't fly in that. That's why you borrowed the helicopter from St. Lucia, because you could not use the Coast Guard to take you to Carriacou after burial. And until you got the helicopter from your partner, that's when you were able to go visit Carriacou. Because you don't like material things. Action speaks louder than words. And you're not able to fool Grenadians anymore. Even the NDC people who put their head in the sand and refuse to come up for air, you're not fooling them, you know. That's why they're ashamed they're not coming up for air. They're not coming up because they can't bear to see what is going on. So they're staying down there. They're not being fooled. They just don't want to admit what is going on. And some of them said it, I've heard them. I've been around them. Yeah, they said it. But at the end, they say, but it's my party. What I could do and to support. Yeah. So all this drama ain't fooling us. And I didn't understand what that was all about anyway. Come from St. David's and you pass by a lady house and you say, she need and what's that? What's that about? Just to say you went to St. David's in transit? While you're in transit, we know. Every time you come, you just go up and film a movie. So to say you was in transit, so that's thing you have, you're doing your stocks, for campaign. Folks, we're not in a good place. We are really, really not in a good place. And all skin teeth is not laughing. Sometimes, it happens. It's something, you just have to laugh. You have to smile when you see and hear certain things. But the severity of the matter is we're in deep, deep trouble. And we hope it doesn't last for much longer. We do hope. So we're going to move a little deeper into the politics. And I've been looking on social media and listening on to the talk shows, on the podcasts. And the topic breaking the internet, the Peter David resignation from the NNP. And that he's forming a new party. And I didn't say anything on it. But certain things unfold that makes me want to speak about it now. Make me want to speak about it now. There's also the opinion of several, which of the two long-standing parties would be affected most by Peter's fallout with the NNP and him being independent or forming his own party, whichever one. And of course, the surrogates and supporters of the NDC believes the NNP will be affected most, and the surrogates and supporters of the NNP believes the NDC would be affected most. Whichever, I don't think no scientific data or anything is being used for that, but it's people's opinion, and they're entitled to their opinion. So when someone say they believe that NDC would be affected most, or NNP, that's their opinion. You come with yours. But there's no need for the name calling and all of that, just to say, I don't believe so, I believe the other one would be affected most. So this is my opinion here, my commentating. So run in if you want. You could stay in if you don't want to run back out, whatever you want to do. But here we go. I believe both will be affected, but not enough to affect any of the two. And that's my opinion. Now, I don't believe that Peter David leaving the NNP at this point would affect whatever results the NNP will have in the next general election, and vice versa, the NDC. Now, if I had to say, and you stress the point, which one you think would be affected more, as I said, not enough to affect their results, but which one would be affected more, I would definitely say the NDC, right? And I would go on to explain why I think so. Just hear me out. The revolutionaries, they are mostly associated with the NDC. And I could name some of them, right, that I know for sure are with the NDC and votes NDC if they decide to vote or when they decide to vote. Some of them, most of them was there in between the 2003, 2008 era. And a few of them left with Peter in 2013 when he was expelled from the party. And some stayed. Some stayed because Peter, instead of forming his own party when he was expelled, went into the NNP, we all know. And some of them, some persons would say, hell no. And I've heard it. I was there. I was among them. I would live with Peter, but I'm not going further than him forming a party, and that's why they formed NUF. They were not going to be a part of the NNP. So they did not go. They came back to the NDC. NUF, of course, didn't quite make it, right? So the NUF ones, most of them were NDC supporters as well, and went back to the NDC. A few of them, I see Sister Glennis Roberts was on NNP platforms, both in the 18 and 22 elections, spoke for the NNP candidate in the South. Still, you don't know who she voted for when she went to vote behind a black piece of curtain. We never know. Now, so some stayed with the NNP, some went to the NNP, and most, in my opinion, and as far as my observation then, went back to the NDC. Remember, they were Peter supporters, right? The disgruntled NDC people, and not only because one of their very own said it on a talk show program loud and clear, but you hear them, right? It comes from on See Me When You See Me, and Sister Ashida's phrase there, it stuck with some, because I have met some who say, I am like Ashida. On See Me When You See Me, right? I have good friends, people I talk to every day, sometimes twice a day, who were NDC supporters all their lives, ever since they started to vote. And these are people, well, up in their 30s, 40s, going there, right? And who swear to me, one said to me, I may never vote again, but I know I would never vote for NDC again, right? But these things happen when you see the election heat, the fever take people, and the day come, and not to exercise one of the only rights we have as colored people, the right to vote. People died for that right for us. They go out and vote. Right? So, these persons would probably decide, okay, because they're tired with NDC, they're not voting for NDC again, they would never go vote for NNP. So they're looking for a middleman, they're looking for a next party. So you might get a few of those. Not enough to significantly help out whatever the new party name is going to be, if there's so many, right? Or Mr. David running independent with probably a few friends running independent in different constituency. My boy Derek, I hear you going and running in Northeast. You know we good. Don't do it. Don't do it. We go talk when I see you. But to continue. The NNPites who thought they would give Deacon Mitchell and the NDC a chance, and they wanted a change, they say, from Dr. Mitchell, they tell Dr. Mitchell, and thing, and the narratives sounded really well. The pie in the sky narratives sounded so good. And some of them might have been, or not might have been, some of them are public servants as well. And the pension and the regulation, the regularization, all these things. Yeah, you know, and they said, okay, I voted all my life NMP. Since I started to vote, my grandmother was NMP, my mother was NMP, everybody in the house is NMP, but I will give them a chance and then go vote. It didn't last. It did not last. And so shortly after, once the dust settled, they went back to their grandmother's house. They went right back. You know, you get a job and you're showing off and you get boyfriend and you say you're going to rent a place and you have your little apartment and you take your little money and you pay the bank and you get a car and you're driving and you have a boyfriend and the boyfriend driving the car more than you and he driving the girlfriends too. And when you want a little job, you have to walk in the rain. Sometimes you can't find him. He's not answering the phone. Where you there? And then you realize, boy, what the hell I do? When a day come, you carry me eat crackers and cheese. Because the money going in the rent and the, And you say, back by granny. Yeah? So they went back in the house. So it's a lot of little things. Don't get fooled. Don't get fooled. And so Peter remained close to, when he was in NMP, he remained close to NDC, some NDC persons, even as high as executive members. And nothing wrong with that. You're not supposed to form enemies when you move from one to the next. You're not supposed to, right? But he stayed close. That's the operative word there is close. Remember, recently, in one of their meetings, the zonal meetings that the NNP was having, I think the one in Boucherville, he spoke and left in a hurry because he went to a birthday party to a strong NDC supporter in St. Patrick, right? So he have inroads in NDC, still do. And as I said before, some of the NDC persons that would have gone with him if he had his own party remained in NDC because they was not putting a foot inside that greenhouse, right? So he has NDC persons there. And I've seen it, and I've started to see some of them already speaking out in social media and supporting the cause. Already, I've seen it. NDC supporters, yes. And then there are the ones that went with him, the Tillman chairman in Hermitage, Scott in Northwest St. Andrew, these ones that would follow him wherever he goes. NDC again. They might have gone to NNP, a few of them, and they will follow him out. So when you hear about the 17, don't panic. Some of them might be NNP who left, but that's 17. Every day people registering new persons. Every day some people leaving we don't even know about, one party and go to the next. So don't get, all worked up about the 17. The 17 took jail, the ones that killed Maurice Bishop. They took jail. Don't get worked up about the 17. Now, the NNP base is what, about 33,000 strong. And the NDC base, about 10,000 less, 22,000 thereabout, right? That's a big difference when it comes to politics and voters, because a party can lose the election and has lost the election here in Grenada by 6 votes. In 2003, NDC lost the election by 6 votes. In this past election, we saw one constituency where the NNP, the incumbent, lost by 12 votes, right? And so when you check up, we know it's something like, I don't even think it's 2,000 votes between the two parties. So there's no set of like, oh, we got it, we won. No, not really. Even when the NNP won all 15 seats, the difference between the two parties wasn't that great. It wasn't that great, right? Let's continue. So, I am sure there are more to come with this 17 that they make sign paper and send in resignation and things there. There's more to come. You're going to hear probably some in St. Patrick East, some in St. Patrick West, some in St. Andrew, wherever. You're there more. Don't be daunted. Don't be daunted. NDC had expelled 13, one go, 13, and there were others who went with them. I mean, there were more names on the list, but Uncle Tilly ball out and say, oh God, no, don't do more. And so they stopped. And there are others, there are a lot of others who went with Peter and NDC in office today. So don't be daunted. Don't be daunted by that. Now, I've said it before and I will say it again. In my mind, Peter's time has passed for leading anything into any election. Wherever in my mind, he should just stay and be the candidate for the tongue of St. John. And work hard, because he nearly got beaten in the last election. 211 votes between him and St. Tito. St. Tito, I know, one of the worst candidates for the tongue of St. George under the NDC banner. So if Peter David did not decide to wrestle the NDC from Tillman Thomas, saying he's not going to go into another election with this peasant boy as his leader, and he gathered his troops, he would have been next in line as leader for the NDC and ultimately Prime Minister of Grenada. But he didn't get that leadership that he wants so badly. He would have gotten it. But no, can't wait, he really needed no. So when he and the 12 was expelled, that was his chance and his last chance of being leader of anything, any party in Grenada. But he did not have what it takes to be, that's 13 years ago, you know. 13 years ago. He did not have what it takes or what it took to muster up the energy to say, I am going to go on my own. Where did he go? Straight from NDC, straight to NNP. He didn't even bend corner. Straight. Right? Now, I'll also reiterate that when Peter and the others, and that's why I say his last chance, when they came back to Grenada after studying, after the revolution, the demise of the revolution, and some of them went to imperialism countries, they and educate themselves, and they came back. Those guys should have formed their own party then. That's 22 or so years ago. But no, they thought in the back of their minds that they were going to be able to take the party from Tillman Thomas. Now, I remember clearly Lloyd Noel, who was arrested with Tillman, who spent time in jail with Tillman during the revolution, on a Beyond the Headlines program, because the talk was out there. A lot of people say, oh, they're voting for NDC because NDC is not going to be Tillman. NDC going to be them revolutionaries, and as soon as they settle, they go take the thing from Tillman. Lloyd Noel said on a Beyond the Headline program that if they think Tillman is a blowover, joke they're making, that will not happen because the question was put to him. Well, they learned the hard way. They were not able, and with the help of some of us, yes, some of us, we stood up and we fought for the NDC brand. And they had, well, of course, they were expelled. We identified that the expulsion was illegal. The judge said they could have come back, or the mitigation people, whoever said they could have come back to the NDC if they wanted to. But I guess they were embarrassed too. And they decided to move on. And they moved on to the NNP him, and Chester Humphrey, and Derek James, and the lots. They know the ones. A good cousin there say he's a mercenary, so it's where he's getting paid. But he too, that's Hamlet, went with them. And they went over. They went over to the NNP, right? They were expelled. Move. I would move too, but I probably would have formed my own party if that's what's in me. You want to be a leader of a party instead of trying to. But in the back of your mind, you just came from one that didn't work out. You're going into another one with the same MO in your mind that one day you're going to be the leader of the party, or you're going to take the leader, or you would like the leadership to be handed to you. Because that's what you thought. You say the man promised you, the man said he never promised you. So your word against is, I don't know who offered who or who didn't. The point is, if you want it so badly, do it on your own. But in my mind, 20-something years later, it's too late. It's too late. And we all know, yes, there are times you say, Grenada really need a third party because there's a flip-flopping. And is either you NDC or NNP. You go from NNP to NDC, NDC to NNP, and that's it. We have two. And you say, we really do need a third party. But we don't need a third party, in my mind and in my opinion, that's going in with must have a succession plan immediately. And you all know why. The Chester Humphreys and the Derek Jameses and, well, of course, Peter being the leader. And those guys been there, done that. Those guys are what we call geriatrics. And so a succession plan must be in place immediately, right? So when we talk about who they're going to think, and hoping that they have to make the decisive plan on the table to say, well, 771, and this kind of drama that we're cooking up there already. If you're forming a party, form a party, do what it takes to go out there and win an election, right? Maybe not this time, but next time. But don't sit down there and wait for the bargaining chip to fall and say, well, 6, 7, 7 and 1, or 6 and 6 and 5, and then we go fill. What is this? That's why you're still looking for leadership. All the end game is being a leader, right? I mean, I watched the parliament this past week there, yesterday, and the chief of staff was there. The chief of staff came in with the board. The chief of staff sitting. There was no seats down behind Mr. David for him to sit. So Chester Humphreys there sitting behind the opposition. You know, I haven't seen Chester Humphrey in the Senate, in the Parliament for ages. But he's been out. He come out and he keep making notes and things. Yes. So we know what happened in there. We see what's unfolding. And maybe in truth and in fact, when you heard the stories that Peter didn't really want leadership and they pushing him, well, in my mind, I say he's not a baby. He's not in Pampers. So don't let nobody push you. What, you're in a pram? But if, probably that's it for real. For Chester to lift his head and be out, and in Parliament, he come out and he's sitting behind, you know, like how the senators just sit behind the government side when Parliament, the lower house is debating? Yeah, man. Chester, out with the boy. Because Chester Humphrey, was the one who, after the last election, the day after, the very day after, went up north to the opposition leaders. Well, he wasn't even opposition leader yet. They just lost. Home. Asking him to relinquish and to give the leadership, the opposition leadership, to his friend Peter David. Now, I have a question to Peter and Chester and them. If Dr. Mitchell had agreed and say, yes, Peter, here it is, was that going to be democratic? Or was it going to be not against the constitution of the party to hand over to one individual just like that? Or democracy is only when it affects you all. You see, yes, we know that you went and say, hand the thing over to Peter. We know. And he said, and he turned you down. I said in 2012 to 2013, thereabout, that it was Peter's last chance of forming a party. He set up Glennis and them, and when they thought he was going to come, he went into the arms of the NNP. Because in his mind, he ain't had time to form no party. You ain't had time to form a party 13 years ago. And you want to form a party now? Not if you couldn't do it 22 years ago or 13 years ago. You really think you could do it now? You really think it takes what it takes for Chester and all of them? Yeah, I know. Up to 2018, they were on the Northeast campaigning against Nazim Bop and making sure, as they said, that he never go into the parliament again. When you're digging a hole for others, as the saying goes, dig one for yourself next to it. You never know. You just might fall in. You just might fall in. So as I said, in the town of St. George, the last election, Cynthia daughter nearly beat Peter. 3,781 persons registered, voters that was registered at the town of St. George. 2,462 voted. 1,329 votes went to Peter David, and 1,118 votes went to Cynthia daughter, a difference of 211 votes. Now let me hasten to say that in the town of St. George, the voters, the constituents, has gotten a raw deal from its representative from time, for as long as I could remember. I want to address Mr. David, since you're boasting that you've won 4 times, twice with NNP and twice with NDC. What have you done, sir? What have you have to show for those 4 wins within the town of St. George, since you've been the candidate and the MP, rather, for the town of St. George 4 times? The NDC, with you as MP, shut down the library. It's national, but it's in the town of St. George. You've won twice on the NNP since. What have you done to reinstate the public library? I ain't bother with Cynthia daughter. The time will come for us to deal with Cynthia daughter, because she campaigned on the new library. In my lifetime on this little rock, this is the worst I've seen the town of St. George. From downtown St. George's, the Carnage, Tantin, Woolwich Road. I mean, you just name it. And we have photos to show the state of the town of St. George, that constituency, the smallest constituency in Grenada, the town of St. George. The smallest, they even had to close down some polling stations because there had nobody there again. You know, downtown, there's not much people living in it. They had to shut that down. The smallest constituency. What have you done tangible? What can you say that you have achieved as MP 4 times for the town of St. George? The wall in River Road started under the plans and everything that was done up under the NDC, NNP government in continuance. They continued the project. What is it? Government is a continuum. Oh, I love to hear Mr. Philip Tellus would say that. And so they continued the project. And so that's there. I don't know if you want to take that. They had to beg for something to be done. A member of the town of St. George, a constituent, had to beg for something to be done after burial and after the rains to the River Road area, and for something to be done. Just take a look at these photos. People, this is the town of St. George constituency. So we're talking downtown only. But look, if you look, you would recognize, you see the cradle in Archibald Avenue? It's been there since the rainfall, and look, all the stuff that fall down behind the lady house. It's there still. Mr. David, you getting the $10,000 for the constituency. You getting that $10,000. You're paying your partner out of it, who is a retired consul general, retired American citizen. You're paying him instead of giving 2 workers, two persons in your constituency from River Road, from Dabo, a job. 2 of them could get paid out of that money, right? What? I just need. Maybe it happened and I don't know. So I am not saying that you didn't do anything. I would just like for you to come out and tell the people of well, you shouldn't have to tell the people of the town of St. George. They should know and see what you've done for them. So tell us, the rest of us, what you've done in the town of St. George. The constituency of the town of St. George. What have you done as member for the town of St. George? So maybe that's why you start to dwindle and Cindy's daughter start gain a little on you there. Not a little, a lot. Right? Maybe that is why. So when you're boasting, you have to have things to boast about, not just about the win. After a while, people are going to get tired of that. And young persons are becoming eligible to vote. And they're seeing, and they're wiser, and there's social media also to help. Right? Be careful. We had persons pass through. And it's not just you. Nicholas Steele was there. I can't say that I've heard of any big projects in the town of St. George that any one of you can boast about. Community centers, resource centers, where are they? What? You understand? What have you done? What do you do with the $10,000 that you couldn't even hire a truck to wash down River Road? You know, I can't help but notice with this gentleman, Peter David, that there's a pattern that things that was done during the NDC time, the way they tried to wrestle the party, same thing. It was the same MO. They used the same style. False propaganda to try to take over the NDC and the NNP party, respectively. Now, Mr. David, from NDC to NNP, had a struggle for power. No matter what you hear otherwise, he's always involved in a struggle for power. I listened to his address to the nation when he resigned from the NNP and thought, that sounded familiar. So I went back. And here is Mr. David in his resignation from the NDC.
On Monday morning, I tendered my resignation as the Minister of Tourism, Culture, Civil Aviation, and as a member of the Cabinet. I was pushed into having to take this decision after discussions with members of the government. I believe that recent developments and comments have sought to bring our party and government into disrepute. Many people have seen the online video where incendiary and unbecoming comments, almost bordering on slander, were leveled against me and other cabinet colleagues. It is well known that in recent times and over the last several months and maybe years, we have had deep, heated debate among our colleagues about the policy directions of this government and the need to act with more urgency to help the people of Grenada. I have been put at the front and center of this debate, which in some instances has been willfully misconstrued for what it is not. Through it all, I have held my counsel, opting instead to seek the change in a responsible way through caucuses with colleagues and making presentations to the government and the party. The record is there to show that in spite of repeated provocations and well-orchestrated smear campaigns against my name, until now, I have said nothing publicly on the issues at hand. However, within the last week, the situation has become untenable with the publication of comments by the minister that was made in the presence of the Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Minister Book, made by the Minister of Information, Honorable Glenn Noel. Given their presence and their subsequent stance when the issue was brought up, it is now clearer that the comments were made with their approval. The state of affairs made my continuation as a member of the cabinet untenable. It is clear that this entire matter is becoming too much of a distraction, and this gathering cloud of uncertainty is hampering the economic and social development of this country. I have had to choose a path that is best for the country, given all that is before us. It could have been easy for me to stay in my relative comfort and let this all blow away. But too much is at stake. This country needs to be put on a path of economic revival and can do without any of the drama of these last several months. Grenada needs to exhale. Grenada needs to get back on its feet again. My withdrawal, therefore, affords the Prime Minister the opportunity to mold a cabinet with members he feels he can trust, or who will only tell him the things he approves. This is a matter of conscience which I felt I must act on, and will leave it up to other cabinet colleagues who have been similarly maligned and unjustly characterized to deal with it in their own way. My position in the party as General Secretary will be up for review at the next executive meeting, since I intend to bring this issue up for study at the party level. It is my view that there might be issues for disciplinary considerations at the party level. I remain committed to the party, to the National Democratic Congress, and steadfast in my representation of the people of the town of St. George.
Yes. Yeah.
The people of my constituency can rest assured that I will continue our current thrust to push on the issues of housing, land redistribution, and jobs. I will make a full and comprehensive statement on all matters when I address my constituents and seek their further guidance at a meeting later this week. I beg for you members of the media to let this statement stand, as I will not take any further comment until I've had time to consult further with my colleagues, to report to the party executive and seek the counsel of my constituents. But in closing, let me say this. We have to lift the quality of the political debate rather than trading in personal insults, fear-mongering, and sometimes downright slander.
Always the victim, the perfect victim. Up your hands. They treat me bad, so I'm moving on. Right? Now listen to him as he resigned from the NNP, January 2025.
That I address you on matters of politics, especially given what transpired in the old year. When I joined the NNP a decade or so ago, I did so with a deep belief in the party's ideals of progress, inclusivity, and democracy. I dedicated myself fully to its mission and significantly contributed to its victories in 2 successive elections. I had faith that the NNP was an organization committed to empowering its members and fostering an environment where ambition and freedom of ideas could thrive based on democratic principles, merit, and the collective good. However, over the last year, my experience within the party has starkly contradicted these values. The actions of the party leadership, including the public personal attacks, the spreading of falsehoods, and the deliberate attempt to undermine my integrity and that of several of the long-standing dedicated members, have left me disillusioned within this organization. Despite numerous provocations, I chose to remain focused on the work we were elected to do and the people we were meant to serve. I ran my campaign for leadership openly, transparently, and respectfully, adhering to the rules even when they were unfairly used against me. I hoped the process would be fair, democratic, and inclusive, and I always made it clear that I would support whoever emerged from such a contest. Unfortunately, as the convention approached, the leadership resorted to personal attacks, branding me as a poison and a cancer in the party that they needed to be rid of simply because I aspired to lead, to be a part. Against this background, today, Monday, January 20th, 2025, I submitted my resignation from the new National Party. I did so after deep reflection and consulting with my constituents, lest they face vilification. This is not the democratic and inclusive party I once believed in.
I rest my case. Now, last week, I spoke of the consulate not having any information on the Prime Minister, and I'm speaking about the Commission, the High Commission in the UK, not having any information on Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell and his whereabouts, and that he was not in the UK, and that if he was in the UK, they were not aware that he was in the UK, which is not normal. And we know now that he was not in the UK when they said he was, and that the release that came from the Prime Minister's office here in Grenada, that he was in the UK after leaving China, we know that was false, and that he was in Dubai. This morning, a notice was released from the High Commission's office in the UK. And let me get my glasses here. It reads, notice, let me go up. A commissioner, High Commissioner from Grenada in the United Kingdom. And it says, noted consular services, notice consular services. High Commission for Grenada, London, United Kingdom. Notice, appointments for consular services. They're all. Please be advised that consular services at the Grenada High Commission in London will be on an appointment basis, effective February the 3rd, 2025. Consular services will be provided Monday to Friday between the hours of 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., except on local and Grenadian holidays. To schedule an appointment, please call the High Commission on, and they give you a number here, or email the email address. For applications, documents, or additional information regarding services, please visit our website. We look forward to continuing to work with you in 2025, High Commission of Grenada, for Grenada, London, UK. Papa, the people say the Grenadians and whoever else want to visit their office in the UK, you can't just walk in. You have to make an appointment. And I guess with that, you'd have to say what you want the appointment for and what. So I guess they're locked down. The horse galloping down the road, and they decide to close the stable. But Simon says, we get our information. We didn't walk. We didn't. Never mind. Never mind. That's so funny because it brings me back to all the different confidentiality clauses that all the ministries and the subsidiaries, the government subsidiaries, that this administration had these people had them signing since Simon says. And there was Laco giving me information, Laco gone, and I'm getting more, and I don't know who's giving me now, really. And the drones, the drones. I forget to give you the update. The drones since during the Christmas season disappeared. I saw them once, actually once, during the holiday season, and that was it. They're no longer there. So, also I think, I don't look for them every time. I go to bed and do what I have to do, and I don't care. But they're noticeably not there as they used to be. But I'll still call Mr. Connaught, not Connaught. Well, I'll call him Connaught eventually, Commissioner Connaught. But the other one, that dodging, that went and showed the world the inside of the police station there. What's his name? Cohen. I'll still be in touch, Mr. Cohen. You promised me some information, and because I still need to know why I was being monitored by drones. The people is asking, what is the budget for the government for the scores of security firms paid by this government since June 2022? They would like to know the monthly budget. We also need to know, by the way, who's the real owner of Patriot Security. We're paying. We really want to know who's the real owner of Patriot Security? Is it Mr. Craig London and Mr. Cecil Cadet? Listen, this place is too funny. This is too funny. We await the outcome of the investigation of the corruption and the abuse of the National Lottery Authority and its resources by the chairman of the board, Mr. William Batiste, and the CEO of the authority, Miss Cindy Henry, the lover of the chairman, Mr. William Batiste. We would like to know what happened to the investigation after Minister Lacrette was fired for bringing to you, Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell, the corruption that's taking place within the lottery. Instead, you had him rescind the letter that he had given to Mr. William Batiste. In other words, Minister Lacrette fired Mr. Batiste, the chairman of the board, when he saw the level of corruption that he was involved in. And you, Prime Minister Deacon, asked Minister Lacrette to give back the letter, to rescind the letter, take back the letter, yes, from Mr. William upon investigations, that you and Cynthia daughter was going to investigate and take it from there. Instead, Mr. Lacrette was fired, and we have no idea where the investigation is, but Mr. William Batiste is still the chairman and his lover still the CEO. They're the only two persons to sign checks for that company, for the National Lottery Authority, and they are having a time. They are having a time. What are you going to do, Prime Minister, about the bribery, the 115,000 bribery that took place between your minister, who received the $115,000 in cash and kind, $100,000 cash and $15,000 that used to renovate his vehicle, in exchange for the Cliff project, the contract for the Cliff project. We would like to know, what are you going to do about it? That is no allegation. It happened with your minister, and we need to know what you and the cabinet, whoever, the many advisors, what are you all doing about that? Bribery, I must add, is a crime. Prime Minister, who gave the authority to release the heavy equipment machinery to the contractor of the True Blue Road project without license and insurance, and that said vehicle caused the death of a young man from St. Patrick, Grenada. In other words, in my opinion, that was murder, because that equipment should not have been on the road without license and insurance. Who gave the authority to release that heavy equipment vehicle to the contractor without license and insurance? It was arrested by the RGPF. Prime Minister, what's the status with the Kawana Bay project? Why is it still standing on the best spot on Grandin's Beach like a white elephant? Your words, sir, your words. What is the deal with the swap between the properties of Kawana Bay and the Rivera project, the Rivera property on Grandin's Beach? Prime Minister, what happened to Heroes Park? Folks, that's a wrap on today's episode of Simon Says. It's always a pleasure conversing with you, keeping them honest. Thank you for joining us for yet another episode of Simon Says, where facts come first. I'm your host, Jenny Simon. See you next week, same time, same place. as we continue our conversations.
Thank you for tuning in to Simon Says. To ensure that you never miss an episode, click subscribe and make sure to turn on the notifications by clicking on the notification bell icon. See you at the next episode.